Hey everyone, I am now sowing my second round of flowers for my garden. So we're about 8 weeks out from our typical last frost date, which is around May 15th when we feel comfortable here in Chicago, moving our warm season plants outside. So I'm starting all my plants that say start 8 weeks before, or some that are 6 to 8 weeks before last frost, just because that number works out the best. I'm fitting all of these into one of my Jiffy peat pellet trays. I have them already soaking. I showed how to use these in my first round of seed starting, so I'll link that down below if you want to review that to see how to actually use these, but basically pour water, let them expand, and plant your seeds. And I'm going to go through now what I'm starting in this round. Some are my absolute favorites from last year, so I'm really excited. So first off, let's start with the ones that I did last year, which has now caused me to expand the varieties I'm growing. So I have here 5 different asters. And I first grew asters, maybe it was 2021, I think. And what I did, well, I didn't like them because basically I sowed a seed mix I got from a store on a whim. I didn't give them enough space and I just wasn't really impressed by them, which when you sow seeds and don't give them enough space, that's bound to happen. But last year I saw some really beautiful asters on Johnny's seed and I planted them in the garden and I fell in love. These are cut and come again flowers, so you can continue to harvest and include them in bouquets. The 3 that I grew last year, and I will insert either a photo or video from my garden, or if I don't have that, then images from the website, because again, the Johnny seed packets don't have visuals on them. But the first one I had in the garden last year is king size apricot. These I didn't give enough space to last year, but I am going to give them more now. They were very fluffy looking and I love them, a very light peach color. So these are the seeds that I bought fall of 2022. The next one was probably my favorite one of the asters I grew. Now all of them produced a lot of blooms, but this one by far bloomed the most. And this is the Bonita Shell Pink Aster. These flowers were more compact, not as fluffy feeling, but it just produced like crazy. I was constantly cutting these flowers throughout the season. I absolutely love them. And then the last one from last year is Lady Coral Lavender. And even though it's coral lavender, these are a very pretty bright lavender color, or light lavender color. And again, I fell in love. These also produced really well. These had that fluffy kind of appearance. They also had longer stems compared to the Bonita Shell Pink, but I was also harvesting each of these like crazy throughout the season. Now, because I fell in love with those 3 varieties, I also got 2 more from Johnny's seed to try out. First one is the Tower Chamois, and this one, if I believe, actually, let me look it up really quickly. I think this one was also a very fluffy looking one. Yes, it was. So this one is fluffy, kind of more of a pinky peach, whereas I think the king size apricot is more of like an orangey peach color, and I cannot wait to try this one out in the garden. And the other one is the Aster Hagen Light Blue, a really beautiful color that I don't grow a lot of in the garden, so I'm excited to see how this one does. So that's 5 total asters, and I think it's funny. This is why I always try to remember to give things a second chance if I don't like them the first time around, because it could be user error, it could be the variety I tried, but I've now fallen in love with asters, and I never thought that was going to happen. So each of these, I'm probably gonna grow 6 up, and for me, 6 of one variety is a lot, trying to fit them in my small space. I don't even know if I will be able to, but just in case, you know, some of the pellets don't germinate, I will start 6 and then probably give some away. I'll probably end up with like 4 actually in my garden of each of those varieties, but I'm excited. Then next are 3 also new to me in my garden plants. The first one is Stock, and the variety is Deep Apricot Quartet. I think you can tell a trend here. I like pinks, purples, and oranges. These are all gonna go on my back deck, I think, where I tend to stick to a specific color scheme versus my front deck where I kind of just go crazy growing anything that I want. And I do like having both of those options because, well, I love bright colors, but it does feel a little bit more relaxing on the back deck when it's kind of a limited color variety. I don't know. Anyway, again, these are the Deep Apricot Quartet Stock. I have never grown stock before. I've always wanted to because they're really, really beautiful. And then I have two varieties of hollyhock that I got from two gardeners that I know from Instagram, and I've met one of them in real life. The first are black hollyhock from Gardening with Diane. Now, I believe that these are like the regular, pretty large hollyhock size, so I don't know exactly where these are gonna go yet, but I did want to get them started. And then from Grow For Me Gardening, Eric and Christopher, who I have met a couple times in person, and we'll be seeing them again this summer, which I'm really excited about. But they very kindly sent out double majorette champagne hollyhock, and these are smaller. So I think these will probably go in the raised beds somewhere, whereas I think the black hollyhock will be planted on its own. Now these three, so the stock and the two hollyhocks, those want to be surface sown so that they can have light for germination. All of the asters don't need to be surface sown. I think it says 1/8 deep, but I always like to, when I am on top of my organizational game, to review the seed packets and growing information at least a couple days before I plan to actually get them sown, because sometimes I'll realize it says soak for 24 hours or cold stratify for 5 days, and then I'm like, oh, well, I want to plant them now. So it is good to keep organized. I also have here my little spreadsheet for my seed starting schedule. I'm going to add in here the date that I actually have sown these and just make sure that I have all the growing information that I need. So with that, I think my peat pellets are expanded enough. We will go ahead and start planting. Oh, and I'll also give you an update because it's now been about 2 weeks since I started my Gomphrena, which are over there, and I'll show you in just a second. And the germination has been great, so I'm excited for all of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these seeds sown. My peat pellets are all expanded. Now, sometimes I do have some that don't expand completely, and if that's the case, I just basically toss them in this pitcher of water until they are fully expanded. So now everything is ready to go. I'm going to start with my asters first. Make sure I have my labels. And like I said, I'm doing 6 each of these. Now, there are 9 rows of 4, so I'm just going to do like 4 and then 2 and then 2 and then 4 until I run through all of my asters. Then I'm probably only going to do a couple of the black hollyhock, maybe just a couple of the other ones as well. Again, I don't have enough room for this, but I keep on planting anyway. So let's do, which ones are these? The Tower Chamois asters first. I'm going to move these over here just so I don't get them confused. Now, all of the asters, you don't need to pre-soak or anything, and they are pretty small seeds, so they want to be sown just 1/8 of an inch deep. I like to use the end of a paintbrush, and in the 6 that I'm going to plant, I'm just making a very tiny hole. I also like to have a towel nearby to wipe things off. When you're working with seeds and your hands are damp, then the seeds can stick to your fingers. So I'm just going to do 2 to 3 per cell. You usually want to do more than 1. So the newer the seeds are, I just got these seeds this year. The newer they are, typically the better germination, but I still like to sow at least a couple just to be safe, and then I'll worry about thinning them down later. And I have plenty left. Also, you can direct sow these as well. I'm actually going to direct sow, I think, more zinnias than I normally do this year. I'm still going to start some inside, but direct sow some as well. Again, I just like to give them a head start because our growing season, it's not like it's super short here, but it's also not super long. So I like to give things a head start if I can. So those are the 6. Make sure we label. Tower Chamois asters. And we're just going to stick the label in that first one. All right, now let's do the next row of 6. And then I'll take maybe the end of this row. And next up are the Hazaster Hagen Light Blue. These are probably the ones I'm most excited for of all the new varieties I'm trying, just because, again, I don't really have a lot of flowers this color in the garden. So I'm hoping I love them as much as I think I'm going to. All right, that is everything there sown. A good thing about small container gardening is that you typically have a lot of seeds left over. That does mean though I have some seeds that are like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. I'll still plant them, but at that point I am always a bit nervous about germination rates. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to do also 6 of Bonita Shell Pink. I think I'm going to only do 4 of the king size apricot. So these seeds are from last year. So this is my second year using this same pack. So I might be out of these afterwards. Now I still like to save any of my seed packets even if they're empty, just so I can remember. I mean, I do have my order history, but I like to have the seed packets empty and hold on to those. I do still have a few left here. So that I can remember like, hey, I need to order some more. I really like these, and this was the variety. All right, next I'm gonna do the Bonita Shell Pink. These I'm also gonna do 6 of. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just a few left of these also. It's always good too if I save a few extra, just in case, like, let's say, oh, well, if none of them germinate, I probably wouldn't direct sow these seeds. But if I happen to, I don't know, lose some plants, then I can at least direct sow because I have some backups. Okay, now the rest of these want to be surface sown. So let's see what I want to do here. I want to do 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I could do 3 of each, but again, I don't think I have a lot of room for the black hollyhock. So I think I'm only going to do 2 black hollyhock. Let's go ahead and do those now. And because I'm only doing 2 of them, I'm going to put them in the last 2 in the corner. Again, surface sown, so I'm not going to cover these except for with a thin layer of vermiculite. So next, let's see, I did 3 of the king apricot. Let's do 3 of, we'll do 3 of the champagne hollyhock. Ooh, they gave me a lot of seeds. Thank you, Eric and Christopher. So let's do 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to do 4 of the stock because I think that I'll probably want to plant more of. I mean, it's just 1 more, but I think that's what I'm feeling. Okay, that's everything sown. Now I need to grab vermiculite, which again, I put on to the top just to prevent dampening off. It's always worked really well for me with my seedlings. So even the ones that say, like, don't cover, need light to germinate, I'm just gonna very lightly put some on top of those. I'm putting the dome on, and then, so my gomphrena I started in the bathroom until they germinated, then moved them under the grow lights. Again, because these want light, I'm going to put them directly under the grow light. The only reason I started gomphrena and anything that doesn't require light in the bathroom is I don't use heating mats, and it's just a little bit warmer in there, so I like to give them a little bit of extra heat. But these want light over here, so this is going to go right under the grow light. So let me go put them there, and then I will show you how my gomphrena are doing. So here are the seedlings. These are the ones that I just planted up. They're underneath the grow lights. The grow lights I use are the high LED output from Gardener's Supply. Because they're high output, they don't have to be raised and lowered. If I was using shop lights, which I've used in the past and they work fine, but you want those to start off really close to the seedlings, so I would probably lower it to here and raise it over time so that the seedlings don't get too leggy. That's the main reason I upgraded to these lights, even though they're more expensive, is because I don't have to do that extra step. And I like not having to do extra steps. So again, that's what I just planted. I have a hydrangea in here because these are the ones that I'm forcing to see what happens a little bit early. These are all of the plants I started for Me TV, and I can't bring myself to get rid of them. I might have to grow a cantaloupe inside. I don't know, but I have those still there. And then, well, let's start with these gomphrena. So these have been now 2 weeks, I think, and they germinated pretty quickly. I did soak all these for about 24 hours before planting, and I think in almost every cell, let's see, not that one yet, but every other cell, it looks like, has at least one that's germinated, which is great. Down here, this is the Jiffy Peat that trays that I just tried this year. I don't love as much, mostly because they're smaller and I feel like just, I don't know, slightly more difficult to work with. I do feel like there's a little bit less. Well, there is definitely fewer germinations here. So are you a seedling? I don't think so. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in here that have not germinated, 9. So for me, I mean, again, I wasn't planning on planting these anyway, but I just don't really know why germination also seemed to be a little bit worse. Could again be a one-off, but my kind of tried and true of the vegetable and tomato ones that are a bit larger pellets, those are my favorite. And I'll link everything down below that I am using for my seedlings. So that's everything for this video. This is my second of 4 rounds of seeds that I'm going to be starting. So I did Gomphrena at 10. This is my 8-week round. I'll have a 6-week round, a 4-week round, which will be most of my zinnias. And then anything else I'm going to direct sow. So again, small gardens, I don't really start a lot. It's not a very, I mean, some people have very intensive seed starting processes. I get by with 1 baker's rack, a few grow lights. I will move the grow light station over in front of the windows once it gets more full. But that's really it. I'm really excited. I'm definitely excited to see how some of the new varieties grow. But as I get more used to my garden and try things out, I like that I'm narrowing it down to like varieties I really love, maybe trying a new variety of one that I know I really liked. My garden's just getting more tailored to me and what I enjoy, so I really love it. Let me know if you have any questions. I will try to link everything, again, that I use for starting my seeds down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.